Indonesia. A group of scuba divers return from an underwater adventure and finally set foot on dry land. Although this may not look promising, divers are truly welcome here. As a matter of fact, the friendly villagers love to hear our stories about the fantastic but somewhat unknown underwater world of Komodo. The truth is, it's not all that fantastic. There is also bad news. Aboard the ship, the Ondina, cruise director Ricard Bouchot explains the dive exploration.
You know, there's so many environments that with time you learn to find new dive sites. You know, there's certain conditions that work, like when you see a ridge that it starts going down deep and it sort of breaks into a point where the current hits, you know that this is like a good dive site. So I always try to dive new places, trying new sites and do a bit of an exploration. So yeah, we're open for it.
Indonesia is the only equatorial region in the world that has an exchange of marine flora and fauna between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Komodo National Park benefits from this, as it includes one of the world's richest marine environments with over 260 species of reef-building coral.
A national park is an area where the different activities are restricted and is backed by law. You know, this is the difference between a marine reserve or any other type of protected environment, where a national park is actually designated by a law that is backed by the local government. So eventually, the Komodo National Park, because of its richness in terms of like wilderness and the unique species of the Komodo dragon, is also like a World Heritage Site.
The national park has been identified as a global conservation priority area. We see many different forms of life on the coral reef. Small and colorful, small and transparent like these dancing shrimps. Weird fishes that look like dragons. And animals that seem to disappear in the background. A true master of camouflage, the frogfish, also known as anglerfish, are lie-in-wait predators. They move slowly. Ironically, they have the fastest strike speed of any other animal on Earth. In addition to the coral reef, we come across a new dive site, a true underwater desert. The home for even stranger creatures. Is this a fish or a horse? A fish or a leaf? This small cuttlefish is the flamboyant cuttlefish that doesn't swim like other cuttlefish. Instead, it crawls on the seafloor like an octopus. Back on the coral reef, we see bigger species. Like the frogfish, this animal also has a speed record. Cuttlefish can change their color and pattern in a fraction of a second, behavior which is thought to be a form of communication. As spectacular sight. A female prepares to lay eggs in fire coral. The eggs harden after they are laid, which makes them difficult for predators to extract from the coral. But there are bigger animals. And bigger. And bigger. And even bigger than that. The underwater world is a wonderful place, and nothing seems to disturb life here. However,
this morning I feel very bad time because in the water I have a little bit incident. I'm here dynamite. Somebody put dynamite around 4 times. I'm here and it is very bad.
but what is happening?
You want the raw truth? Okay, well, the situation is, especially this season or the last couple of years, is very delicate. Originally, the designation of a national park also involved the different zonation of the different areas around the islands. And the truth is that there's a margin of 500 meters around all around the coast, where it is an absolute no-take zone, meaning that no one can fish there by no means at all, including the locals. Not traditional fishing methods, not even by the locals, okay? This is what's on the paper. The reality is that...
The reality is that not much reinforcement has been carried out in the area. And the liveaboards are actually acting as a deterrent for the fishermen to not do this bad practice.
Cyanide fishing and all that. Also, longliners trolling and getting all the sharks out. This year has been especially rampant. And the first liveaboards that started operating in the area, they actually made a general call because they saw there was quite severe damage. And in fact, in some of the most emblematic sites in the park, where is where everybody is making the living from, from the locals to the liveaboards. I mean, it's not only like one of the most beautiful sites on Earth, because it really is. It's like one of the richest ecosystems in the planet, but it's also, our source of living for the locals, for the government, for ourselves. Now, every diver that comes in the area has to pay a fee to the national park, and that's supposed to go for patrols, moorings, rubbish management, and educational programs for the locals in the different villages around. The reality is that this is not happening. This has its repercussions on the ecosystem. Many operators have tried to put the voice out there, and they have, this issue has come out in Al Jazeera, in the Washington Post, in every diving magazine. Every diving operator has written a story for their local magazine back home. Basically, we're trying to put the word out there, and hopefully the local government will take some measures which are very much needed.